Watch this.
Beyond the 208 this Friday. For one family, the shifting landscape around transgender rights in the United States became too much. So they said goodbye to their home and started over, half a world away. From beer gardens expanding into the streets to a bigger fee for getting married, even some relief for folks struggling with medical debt, the state of Washington has a handful of new laws this year, and they're already making an impact. It looks like something out of Norse legend, but it's real. It floats and it launched in the Pacific Northwest. We will show you the Viking chip built by hand, heart and heritage. How far would you go for a family decision? Well, a family in Denver, Colorado, they made a decision they thought they would never have to make. They have decided to leave the country. Not for work, not for travel, but for what they say is their child's safety. They say that the growing political push to limit transgender rights in the United States specifically, especially the crackdown on gender-affirming care, has left that family feeling like they do not belong, and they're not alone. Families across the country are grappling with similar fears and decisions, but this one actually decided to act. Now they're moving abroad to find the support, they say, that they feel they lost at home.
I'm not really good at drawing.
A blank page can mean a lot, even for a 10-year-old.
Horrid.
Chase pursues perfection, even when she knows for privacy reasons, no one will see her face, but they will get a glimpse of her emotions.
Sad, anxious, happy, etc., etc., etc.
In so many ways, Chase is like most fifth graders, with a room filled with colorful posters, books, and parents.
Because she's just a kid.
Willing to move to the end of the earth for her.
And that's really made us kind of jump on it quickly and really start to make that plan.
Brandon and Candace remember it vividly. The day a haunting thought made headlines.
We knew that we needed a bit of an escape plan.
Before the election, so many people were even telling us that it was such a small percentage of the population that he wasn't going to attack trans or the queer community, and within 24 hours we were justified in our reasonings.
Within hours of becoming president again, Donald Trump signed an executive order declaring only two genders, male and female, a direct hit to the transgender community. To people.
It's not okay.
Like Chase.
It just makes me feel horrible. He eliminates rights for anyone that's in the LGBTQI community. He just eliminates them. He's just like, gone.
It was important for us to not raise our children hearing that sort of hateful speech.
None of us wanted to leave the country, and it's still something that we're sad that we have to do, but
The second he said New Zealand, it was suddenly like, yep, that's exactly where we're supposed to go.
all right. So we do have the kind of declaration forms for the work visas.
Brandon and Candace have made the decision to permanently move their family to New Zealand in hopes of keeping Chase safe.
It's one of the most LGBTQ plus friendly places in the world. You know, we're in Colorado and we're protected. But again, it's what is he going to do nationally that's going to supersede any sort of state protection we had? And how bad is it going to be?
It is an extreme decision, and we are very privileged to even have the ability or the means to do it. And it's a tough question to answer because it is, but this is for the safety of our daughter.
A daughter who, at such a young age,
I don't know how to say this without crying.
understands the sacrifice.
They're just putting in all of this work just for me. And just to make me safe. I told them they don't have to do this. But they keep doing it. And it just makes me so grateful.
That's my job. That's, you know, no matter what I do for a living, being mom is it's my only job. Protecting and loving these kids is what I do best. So, okay.
In the early hours of July 1st,
Hi, handsome man.
this family took a second.
You can walk around, say goodbye.
They know this move needs to happen, but that doesn't make it any easier. Even parents can admit that.
It has been much harder than I thought. I've been compartmentalizing with the best of them recently, but now that it's the day of, it's really, really hard.
That's the thing about a blank page. No one talks about how hard it is to fill it.
I mean, it's sad. This is my house that I've been in for the past 4 years.
This way, bud.
But if Colorado has taught this family anything,
Did y'all already say goodbye to the house?
it's that there will always be brighter days ahead.
There has to be. I keep telling myself when it gets really hard to imagine our lives in 6 months and how much better it feels just thinking about that. And that's kind of what I keep holding on to.
Brandon was able to land a job at a winery, which gave him the ability to get an accredited employer visa. He says it does save them money and gives the whole family a path to permanent residency. There are some new laws taking effect in Washington state that could change everything from where people can sip beer to how medical bills follow them around. One of those laws is opening the door for breweries to expand into outdoor public spaces just in time for the 2026 World Cup. Another new law in Washington adds $100 to your marriage license, but for a good cause.
There's a change coming to where people can enjoy their favorite craft beer.
When it was first announced, it felt like it was well off in the distance, and here we are on the doorstep.
Ryan Teal with Ghostfish Brewing in Seattle's Soto neighborhood is excited about the new Sip and Stroll bill, HB 1515. The new law makes it easier for businesses like breweries to expand their outdoor spaces into public areas, just in time for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
I think it's good for small business in general. We're certainly in favor of anything that allows us to create additional controlled spaces to bring people together.
The law expires at the end of 2027, but breweries are hoping that could be extended. Another new law increases the fee for a marriage license by $100.
I think the purpose behind it is meant for good. So that $100 fee is supposed to go to help domestic violence victims and sort of fund things that are in place to help them.
And there's a new law aimed to help some 380,000 Washingtonians who have medical debt.
Medical debt will no longer appear on a credit report. So it will not eliminate, the new law will not eliminate medical debt, but it will remove it.
The American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network says this will help patients continue to get care without going further into debt.
What we find is that folks who carry medical debt, cancer-related medical debt, those individuals are 3 times more likely to be behind on their recommended cancer screenings.
Staying in the Pacific Northwest, history has set sail in Western Washington. A full-scale Viking ship built in Anacortes made its maiden voyage just last week, and this sailing fulfilled a promise made more than a decade ago. It's the only Coast Guard-approved Viking ship in the world.
At Deception Pass, the tide changes fast. But for a few precious moments,
it looks like it's going to be a great day.
Everything is still.
Odin must have been helping us out here, I think, you know.
A stretch of water known for its power.
13 years, a lot of work.
And a ship waiting for its moment.
People just pitched in.
Made from cedar and oak, the 60-foot vessel is the only Coast Guard-approved Viking ship in the world. This is Valkyrie.
It was a promise.
A promise David Knudsen made to his late father.
I said, Dad, I just want to tell you how much I love you. And he started to tear up, you know, and I started to tear up. It was a mess. And I said, I'm going to build you a Viking ship. And after I said that, I thought, what in the hell? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm getting into.
A feat spanning 3 generations. One son built the ship by his side, and the other leads from the helm.
Is it hard to learn how to captain one of these?
We'll see. There's a learning curve for sure.
The Knudsen family vision.
I could really feel like ancestors kind of reaching through, you know.
What do you think your grandfather would say to see all this?
I think he would laugh, and he'd say something in Danish that I wouldn't be able to pronounce.
Brought to life by a crew that became a community.
There are good ships and there are wooden ships. There are ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships. May they always be.
They laughed, they hugged, and took in the view. Then came the ritual. Coffee, pastries, and a Swinomish elder's blessing. With the blessing complete and the tide in their favor, the moment was here.
Okay, all aboard.
I would take the Northwest Passage,
One final song to send them off.
reaching for the Northward Sea.
A ship built on a promise, now moving with purpose.
In the times we live in today, it's pretty rough. I mean, people aren't getting along with one another, respecting one another. And I really hope this ship goes out and brings community together.
On its very first voyage, Valkyrie was doing just that.
All who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
Disneyland founder Walt Disney welcomed visitors to the new theme park on its very first day, a little more than 70 years ago. And today, the park hosts more than 18 million visitors every year. And our colleagues in San Diego have been following Disneyland's innovations and growth since day one. Today, we're taking a look at the coverage of Disneyland's first day back in 1955. And we'll also head back to 1967, when the future was bright for the opening of Tomorrowland.
Disneyland, Southern California's $17 million playground dedicated to children, both young and old, opened its gates to the public today. These pictures were taken yesterday by Channel 8 cameraman Mel Forbes during a special preview showing of the Wonderland to invited guests. Views from a helicopter show the huge 60-acre playland. The park is the brainchild of Walt Disney and includes such creations as a Mississippi River showboat, a horse-drawn trolley, and Snow White's castle. 30,000 persons streamed through the park at this initial opening, and one had all he could do in some instances to keep from being crushed. But visitors, some of them familiar to many, like Eddie Fisher, accepted the inconvenience. From 4:30 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, a live ABC telecast brought opening ceremonies to folks across the nation. It was presented over Channel 8 in San Diego. Then Governor Knight and Disney led a parade of Disney's imaginative characters through the grounds. There was Alice in Wonderland, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and such famous persons as Davy Crockett, Fess Parker, and Annie Oakley. Disneyland hopes to handle 60,000 persons a day when it's in full operation. Officials say they hope to gross $10 million a year. Tickets are $1 for adults and 50 cents for children. The park has 35 rides, and there's an extra cost to ride each one, starting from $0.25 for adults and $0.10 for children.
Today at Disneyland, a bright new land of tomorrow filled with motion, energy, and entertainment opened with a blast of rockets, a whir of wheels, and a swish of jet engines. Cost Costing more than $23 million, the new product of Walt Disney's creative genius is an awe-inspiring showcase for science and industry, demonstrating that tomorrow's world can be achieved today. Highlights of the new attractions include the People Mover, an entirely new intermediate speed transportation system. Travel through a mighty microscope as guests appear to shrink as they enter a new miniature world. Flight to the Moon, a realistic simulation of space travel, pull of gravity, and weightlessness. Carousel of Progress, 6 satellite auditoriums revolving around a central core of stages. Rocket Jets, a thrilling space adventure plus a new high-level view of the Disneyland area. The rebuilding of Tomorrowland is the realization of Walt Disney's original goal, that a Tomorrowland exhibit would be a constantly changing step into the future.
Well, if you're in the Treasure Valley right now, you're probably thinking it's a pretty pleasant summer day outside, which it is, but that's not the case for everyone right now because we do have storm activity. Most of that is happening in south central Idaho and west central Idaho and eastern Oregon as well. A little bit happening just at the very top of the Central Mountains, or I should say the highest peaks of the Central Mountains. There's some lightning firing off with all these storms, which does pose a fire risk around the region. Treasure Valley looks like it has pretty low chances of a storm or showers rolling through this afternoon, but it's not completely out of the question. Looking at this storm map here, you can see the entire state does have a chance of seeing storms sometime this afternoon and evening, and then those chances are going to remain tomorrow as well. So these afternoon storm possibilities are something we've been seeing and we will continue to see this weekend. Some things to know with the storms, though, is that today the storms should not be as strong as they were yesterday. They should roll through pretty quickly, tapering off in a few hours. Also with these storms, we still have that fire danger. We're going to have fire risk as long as there is a chance of thunderstorms with lightning. It's the middle of summer and our weather is very dry, so our land is dry as well, and that's just very standard for this season, so we have to be careful and watch out for lightning-caused fire specifically. We also have to watch storm winds because they are gusty and erratic, meaning that they're pretty unpredictable. Even if a storm is not actively happening in your area, you could still possibly feel some outflow wind gusts from storms miles away, depending on how strong the storm is. We do have a fire weather warning in place for eastern Idaho as well as parts of the Magic Valley. Although it's not issued everywhere around the region, it's still a risk, as I had mentioned just before. This is in place until 10 p.m. tonight, however. If we watch the futurecast, how this plays out, it looks like the storms are going to stay isolated to the places where they've already been ongoing. So Magic Valley, mountain areas, northern parts of our region specifically. They should taper off in a couple hours, maybe by 9 p.m. or so. There could be some showers that linger overnight. Maybe a storm or two rolls through as well. Looks like it mostly stays from Mountain Home in the southeast direction towards the Magic Valley. Most of the day tomorrow will be pretty clear for a large portion of the area until we get to those afternoon hours once again, and it's the same cycle all over again. So this is 6 p.m. You can see those storms and showers starting to roll in eastern Oregon first, then making their way to the Treasure Valley. Temperatures should look pretty similar to what we're seeing today, a few degrees below average. 91 is what we're expecting for our high tomorrow in Boise. Our average is 95, so still a little bit on the cooler side there. Mountains in the 70s or 80s, as well as the Magic Valley there. Smoke may continue to come and go throughout the weekend as well, so we could see some patchy smoke, hazy skies here and there. If you are an extremely sensitive group, then I would be mindful of that before heading outside, but we'll stay in the low 90s for Saturday and Sunday.
Over 100 gallons of illegally harvested berries were confiscated in Boundary County recently, and the library in downtown Boise is scheduled to close for renovations in September. Richard Rodriguez has the 411 on the 208.
Evacuations issued for the range fire have been lifted south of Blacks Creek. The fire is burning near South Pleasant Road and West Thompson Road just off I-84, near the Orchard Combat Training Center. The Idaho National Guard says the fire was started by the detonation of some sort of unexploded ordnance. The Bureau of Land Management says it has burned more than 26,000 acres, and crews are making good progress to slow its spread. Crews are expecting to reach full containment by 8 p.m. tonight. The man who killed 4 University of Idaho students is now in solitary confinement. A spokesperson with the Idaho Department of Correction says Brian Koberger is being held in long-term restrictive housing on J Block at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. IDOC moved him there on Tuesday. Inmates living in J Block included those in long-term restrictive housing, like Koberger, those on death row, and inmates in general population. A judge sentenced Koberger to 4 consecutive life sentences. The Boundary County Sheriff's Office confiscated more than 100 gallons of berries during a backcountry patrol. The Sheriff's Department says they believe the berries are picked by commercial pickers. It is illegal to pick berries for commercial purposes in the backcountry. Berry picking recreationally, however, is allowed. The downtown Boise Library has approved major funding for renovations and scheduled a temporary closure in September. At a special meeting this morning, the Boise Public Library Board unanimously approved accepting over $1 million in donations to fund the first floor renovations at the downtown library. The funding includes a $1 million gift from the Friends of the Boise Public Library, plus additional money from the Boise Public Library Foundation. The board approved forwarding the budget changes to City Council, which would consider the renovation contract August 12th. That's the 411. I'm Richard Rodriguez.
Another reminder for you, we got 2 extra hours of Wake Up Idaho every weekday. That's right, live and streaming from 5 to 9 a.m. You can join us on KTVB Plus for even more headlines, weather, and traffic. To watch KTVB Plus, download on your TV and watch for free. We have your comments coming up. Okay, let's take a look at some of your comments to end the week here on the 208. Dick writes in, your show today keeps placing Disneyland in San Diego. It is in Anaheim, a suburb of Los Angeles. That is correct. Just want to clarify, the story we ran is from our reporting partners in San Diego. So that's probably why you heard San Diego today. But yes, it is in Anaheim. They have Anaheim produce. Disney's opening a few years ago was great. Yep. And you know what? Someone asked about the berries that were confiscated. They want to know what happens to them. We will try and find out. I want to know too. All right. Have a great weekend. All right.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.